Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Wednesday, April 25th, 2018. Today I'm going to recap last night's NBA playoff action and look ahead to tonight's NBA playoff action, in which a couple teams can be eliminated tonight. Pick this Game 7 between the Maple Leafs and the Bruins tonight from TD Garden, as well as making my predictions for the second round series that will start tomorrow, and go over Major League Baseball from last night and look ahead to today's games, do my latest mock draft, and give out my top 100 prospects heading into tomorrow's draft. NBA, the Celtics defeated the Bucks 92-87 to take a 3-2 series lead as Milwaukee heads home facing elimination. Al Horford put up 22 points and 14 rebounds in the win. Chris Middleton put up 23 points in defeat as the Celtics have a chance to close out the Bucks on Friday night. The 76ers defeated the Heat 104-91 to advance to the second round. J.J. Redick put up 27 points in the win, and Kelly Olynyk had a great game for Miami, 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. The Miami Heat have been eliminated. Now there's questions about Dwayne Wade's future and Hassan Whiteside's future, so they should be an interesting team this offseason to follow. The Warriors defeated the Spurs 99-91 to advance to the second round. And the Spurs, I think, are the most fascinating team of this offseason by a mile because Kawhi Leonard's heading into a contract year. He barely played this season. His future in San Antonio is uncertain at this point. Do they trade him knowing that he might leave in a year, or do they keep him to potentially improve his value? Those questions we'll get into more on future podcasts. Kevin Durant had 25 points in the win. Draymond Green had a great game as well. LaMarcus Aldridge put up 30 points and 12 rebounds in defeat. And if the Spurs end up trading Kawhi Leonard, then they should look to deal LaMarcus too, because let's be honest, they should be heading into a rebuild with the possible retirement of Manu Ginobili. Tony Parker's future is uncertain. I think Popovich comes back. His wife just passed away, and I know he probably wants to get his mind off of that. So I think he's back for at least a couple more years. I said on yesterday's podcast that there's a possibility that he might step away, but I think it's more likely that he's back. Tonight's games, Wizards at the Raptors, Game 5. Give me the Raptors at home in a close one, let's say 110-107, to go up 3-2 in the series. They are a better team at home. Their bench plays well at home. Maybe Fred VanVleet's back. We'll see. Pacers at the Cavaliers, Game 5. I saw earlier today that Ryan Clark, who filled in for Michelle Beadle on Get Up today, picked the Pacers. That's a ballsy call. But I'm going to go with the Cavs. They're home. Their fans are going to be rocking. I think LeBron leads the way. I'm going to make a bonus prediction and say that he has a triple-double in this game. So give me Cavaliers in a close one. Let's go 115-110. Victor Oladipo keeps the Pacers in this game, and there are going to be people saying, oh, the Pacers can win this game. But ultimately, LeBron comes through as the Cavs defeat the Pacers. And if the Cavs lose, don't be shocked if all the LeBron rumors start to come about, because going down 3-2 into Indiana is a tough task to win a Game 6 on the road facing elimination. And this is going to be very fascinating how tonight's game is going to play out. It's huge for the Cavaliers. And that's the team that's under the most pressure tonight, along with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who host the Utah Jazz. They are facing elimination tonight on their home court. Do I think the Jazz move on and eliminate the Thunder, or do I think the Thunder live to play another day? Give me the Thunder at home. I think Russell Westbrook leads the way. Let's say 110-105 Thunder. That crowd's really good, and the Thunder are going to survive at least another day. Last but not least, the Timberwolves at the Rockets. Game 5. If the Rockets win, they advance. If Timberwolves win, they force a Game 6 on their home court. Let's take the Rockets at home to close out the Timberwolves. We'll get into the Timberwolves future on tomorrow's podcast, assuming they drop tonight's game, as James Harden and Chris Paul lead the way. Let's say 120-105. I think they win this game going away. Stanley Cup playoffs, a very important Game 7 tonight between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs from TD Garden. This is going to be a great game. I picked the Bruins in 7 before the series began. I'm going to take the Bruins here to advance. I think this is going to be a classic game. Let's go 5-4 Bruins overtime. Let's say history repeats itself as Patrice Bergeron scores the overtime winner to lift the Bruins into the second round. Rick Nash has had a rough series for the Bruins, and he has that reputation of can't score the big goal in a playoff game, as he rarely did that with the Rangers and while he was wearing the blue shirt. And I'm going to say he has an impact on tonight's game. Maybe he does get a goal. I think Austin Matthews will have a nice game for Toronto. The goalies, I think, will be fine, even though I'm predicting a high-scoring game here. I think there's going to be a ton of shots on goal. Anderson and Rask are both capable of standing on their heads, and Anderson sure did that to keep the Maple Leafs in this series. So give me the Bruins, 5-4 overtime, goal by Patrice Bergeron to move on to the second round to take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And no, the Maple Leafs won't blow a 4-1 lead, I'll say that. I just think it's going to be back and forth and the Bruins pull away in overtime. Second round predictions. The games begin tomorrow. You have the Penguins at the Capitals tomorrow night on NBCSN. And the second half of the doubleheader is the Sharks at the Golden Knights. And beginning Friday is Jets Predators. And that's that game one. I'll just pick the series here. And I'll pick the individual games on the nights of those games like I've been doing for round one. Penguins Capitals for the third year in a row. We all know how this is going to play out. Pittsburgh's coming off a good series win over their division rivals, in-state rival Philadelphia Flyers. The Capitals are coming off a 6-game series win over the Columbus Blue Jackets, in which they were down 0-2 in the series. For the third straight year, give me the Pittsburgh Penguins to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, as questions will start to abound whether Barry Trotz will return to Washington, whether Alex Ovechkin will still be around, because there's talks that there's a chance that he might be the fall guy potentially and they can move on from him, or Nick Backstrom even. So very fascinating offseason ahead for the Capitals, and as I think they will be eliminated in the second round for the fourth straight year, but the third straight year to the Pittsburgh Penguins, as I am picking the Penguins to advance in 6 games. Nashville-Winnipeg, I think is going to be the best series of the second round. These were the two teams that finished with the most points in the league. Nashville first and Winnipeg second. This is such a great series. 2 great goalies in Pekka Rinne and Connor Hellebuck, who are both finalists for the Vezina Trophy. Both teams are very good defensively. Jacob Trouba has improved for Winnipeg this season, and Nashville has all the studs in PK Subban, Roman Josi, Ryan Ellis, and a lot more on the back end. A tough call here, but give me the Nashville Predators in 7 games. I like their defensive depth. I think they can slow down Patrick Laine and Blake Wheeler and Mark Sheffley and all those guys on the Jets. And I think that they'll advance to the Western Conference Finals for the second straight year. Vegas Golden Knights and the San Jose Sharks. This is going to be a great series, I think. I think this is the most underrated series of the second round. I love this Golden Knights team. Marc-Andre Fleury might be your early favorite for the Conn Smythe Trophy right now. I can't believe I'm saying that. The Vegas Golden Knights are a really good offensive team. They have a lot of speed, although they won that previous series playing the Kings pace, which I thought was very interesting. The Sharks are loaded offensively. Their defense is solid. I think Martin Jones is very underrated in that This series is bound to go the distance as well, so give me the Vegas Golden Knights in 7 games to advance to the Western Conference Finals in their inaugural season. I will pick the 4th second-round series on tomorrow's podcast, and that's going to be Tampa Bay Lightning against the winner of tonight's Toronto-Boston game. Major League Baseball, 2 rainouts yesterday. Orioles-Rays was rained out, as well as Tigers-Pirates. Last night, the Mariners defeated the White Sox 1-0 as they improved to 12-10. Chicago drops to 5-15. Marco Gonzalez with the win. Chris Volstad with the loss. Edwin Diaz with the save. The lone run was scored in the top of the 4th inning on an RBI single by Mitch Haniger to give Seattle a 1-0 lead for good. Marco Gonzalez with a very good outing after a poor start to the season. He's pitched well his last 2 starts. This time 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts leaves the game with a 4.37 ERA. Chris Volstad, 4 1/3 innings, 3 hits, an earned run, and 3 strikeouts leaves the game with a 3.75 ERA. The Yankees beat the Twins 8-3 to improve to 13-9. Minnesota drops to 8-10. CC Sabathia the win. Jose Barrios with the loss. Top of the 1st, RBI double, Eduardo Escobar, and Escobar went to 3rd as Miguel Sano scored on the error by Aaron Judge in right field. 1-0 Twins. Bottom of the 2nd, home run Gary Sanchez ties it up at 1 apiece. Bottom of the 3rd, RBI single Didi Gregorius. 2-1 Yanks. Bottom of the 4th, RBI single Gleyber Torres. 3-1 Yanks. Bottom of the 5th, 2-run home run Didi Gregorius. 5-1 Yanks. Top of the 7th, RBI single Mitch Garver to get the Twins within 3. Bottom of the 7th, home run Aaron Judge. 6-2 Yanks. Also in the bottom of the 7th, a 2-run home run by Gary Sanchez, his 2nd homer of the night. 8-2 Yanks. Top of the 8th, RBI double Eduardo Escobar. 8-3 Twins get their garbage run there as the Yankees win the game 8-3. CC Sabathia has been solid in 2 starts since coming off the disabled list. This time 6 innings, 2 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts leaves the game with a 1.86 ERA. Jose Barrios, not so much of a good outing. 4 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts leaves the game with a 2.84 ERA. The Cubs defeat the Indians 10-3 as they improve to 11-9. Cleveland drops to 12-9. Tyler Chatwood with the win. Josh Tomlin with the loss. Top of the 2nd, home run Kyle Schwarber, 1-0 Cubs. RBI single Ian Happ, 2-0 Cubs. Top of the 3rd, home run Wilson Contreras, 3-0 Cubs. Bottom of the 3rd, RBI ground out Jason Kipnis, 3-1 game. Top of the 4th, another home run for Kyle Schwarber, 4-1 Cubs. Home run Ian Happ, 5-1 Cubs. Top of the 7th, bunt single Albert Almora Jr. as Jason Hayward scored on the throwing error by Zach McAllister. Makes it 6-1 Cubs. Also in the top of the 7th, RBI ground out Javier Baez, 7-1 Cubs. RBI single Tommy La Stella, 8-1 Cubs. Bottom of the 8th, infield single Edwin Encarnacion, 8-2 game. Top of the 9th, RBI single Anthony Rizzo, 9-2 Cubs. RBI ground out Tommy La Stella, 10-2 Cubs. Bottom of the 9th, RBI single Eric Gonzalez makes it a 10-3 game. That was their final. Tyler Chatwood had his best start of the early season despite the high walk number total. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts leaves the game with a 3.74 ERA. Not a good outing for Josh Tomlin. 3 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts leaves the game with a 9.24 ERA. The Reds defeated the Braves 9-7 in 12 innings as they improved to 5-18. Atlanta drops to 12-10. Jared Hughes with the win, Max Fried with the loss. Bottom of the 2nd, fielder's choice Tyler Mahle, 1-0 Reds. Infield single Billy Hamilton, 2-0 Reds. Sacrifice fly Jesse Winker, 3-0 Reds. Bottom of the 5th, home run Joey Votto, 4-0 Reds. Home run Scooter Gennett, 5-0 Reds. Top of the 7th, Tyler Mahle actually had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning, and it was broken up on a home run by Freddie Freeman to get the Braves on the board, 5-1. Also in the top of the 7th, a home run by Kurt Suzuki, a 2-run shot makes it a 5-3 game. Bottom of the 7th, sacrifice by Scooter Gennett, 6-3 Reds. Also in the bottom of the 7th, infield single by Tucker Barnhart as Jose Peraza scored on the advancing play, 7-3 Reds. Top of the ninth, another home run for Freddie Freeman, 7-4 game. Bases loaded walk by Johan Camargo makes it a 7-5 game. The game-tying 2-run infield single by Andir Enciarte makes it a 7-7 game. And then in the bottom of the 12th, Scooter Gennett, walk-off home run, 9-7 Reds is your final. Tyler Mahle, 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 5 ERA. Brandon McCarthy, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, and walk, and a strikeout, leaves the game with a 3.38 ERA. Ronald Acuna will be making his big league debut today. The Braves called him up after the game, so that should be very exciting. He is the front runner to win the National League Rookie of the Year, or at least should be, even though he hasn't played a game yet, so it should be fun to watch. The Diamondbacks defeated the Phillies 8-4 as they improved to 16-6. Phillies dropped to 14-8. Fernando Salas with the win, Vince Velasquez with the loss. Top of the third, home run Alex Avila, 1-0 Diamondbacks. Home run Gerard Dyson, 2-0 Diamondbacks. Bottom of the third, 2-run double Aaron Altherr ties it up at 2 apiece. Bottom of the third, sacrifice fly Maikel Franco, 3-2 Phillies. Top of the fifth, 2-run double David Peralta, 4-3 Diamondbacks. Top of the sixth, RBI single Alex Avila, 5-3 Diamondbacks. Bottom of the sixth, RBI single Cesar Hernandez makes it a 5-4 game. Top of the eighth, RBI single AJ Pollock, 6-4 Diamondbacks. And then a home run by Daniel Descalso makes it 8-4 Diamondbacks. Robbie Wright pitched okay, 4 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 5.13 ERA. Vince Velasquez, 4 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 4.5 ERA. The Blue Jays defeated the Red Sox 4-3 in 10 innings on a walk-off home run by Curtis Granderson as Toronto improves to 14-8. Boston drops to 17-5. Tyler Clippard with the win, Craig Kimbrell with the loss. Bottom of the second, fielder's choice Kevin Pillar, 1-0 Blue Jays. Infield single that scored in 2 runs by Curtis Granderson, 3-0 Jays. Top of the sixth, RBI single Hanley Ramirez makes it a 3-1 game. Top of the ninth, RBI single Eduardo Nunez makes it a 3-2 game. Also on the top of the ninth, game tying RBI single with the bases loaded by Brock Cole ties it up at 3 apiece as Eduardo Nunez was thrown out at home plate by Curtis Granderson. And then the bottom of the 10th, Granderson hits the walk-off home run to win the game for the Blue Jays. J.A. Happ had a nice game. 7 innings, 4 hits, an earned run, no walks, and 10 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 3.72 ERA. Rick Porcello had a nice game. 7 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 1.93 ERA as the Red Sox are dealt their 3rd straight loss. The Athletics defeated the Rangers 3-2 as they improved to 13-11. Texas drops to 8-17. Andrew Triggs with the win. Cole Hamels with the loss. Santiago Casilla with the save. There wasn't any scoring until the top of the 6th when Mark Canha hit a home run, 1-0 A's. Bottom of the 6th, sacrificed by Adrian Beltre, makes it a 1-1 game. Top of the 7th, RBI double Jed Lowry, 2-1 A's. Top of the 8th, RBI double Matt Olson, 3-1 A's. Bottom of the 8th, RBI single Adrian Beltre makes it a 3-2 game. Andrew Triggs, 6 innings, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 6 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 4.7 ERA. Cole Hamels, 6 in the 3rd innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 4.41 ERA. The Angels defeated the Astros 8-7 as they improve to 16-8. Houston drops to 16-9 as the Angels take over first place in the American League West. Jim Johnson with the win, Joe Smith with the loss, Cam Bedrosian with the save. Top of the first, home run Mike Trout, 1-0 Angels. Top of the second, home run Andrelton Simmons, 2-0 Angels. Bottom of the second, RBI single Marvin Gonzalez makes it a 2-1 game. Top of the third, infield single Justin Upton, 3-1 Angels. Infield single Andrelton Simmons, 4-1 Angels. Bottom of the fifth, home run Derek Fisher, a 2-run shot, 4-3 game. Bottom of the sixth, go-ahead home run Brian McCann, a 2-run shot, makes it 5-4 Astros. Top of the seventh, game-tying RBI single Albert Pujols makes it a 5-5 game. Also in the top of the seventh, a 3-run home run by Andrelton Simmons, his second of the game, makes it 8-5 Angels. Bottom of the seventh, RBI single, Alex Bregman makes it 8-6. And also in the bottom of the 7th, RBI single, Marvin Gonzalez to make it an 8-7 game. Shohei Ohtani wasn't great. 5 in the 3rd innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 4.43 ERA. Charlie Morton, 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 walks, and 2 strikeouts. He leaves the game with a 1.86 ERA. So Morton has his worst outing of the early season. The Brewers defeated the Royals 5-2 as they improve to 15-9. That's 7 straight wins for the Brewers. Kansas City drops to 5-16. Zach Davies with the win, Ian Kennedy with the loss. Top of the 3rd, infield single, Ryan Braun, 1-0 Brewers. Also in the top of the 3rd, a 3-run home run, Travis Shaw, 4-0 Brewers. Bottom of the 4th, home run, Salvador Perez. In his first game off the disabled list, makes it a 4-1 game. Bottom of the 5th, sacrifice fly, Alcides Escobar, makes it a 4-2 game. Top of the 7th, home run, Lorenzo Cain, makes it 5-2 Brewers. That was awesome that Cain homered against his former team and got a standing ovation from the Royal fans. I thought that was nice. Zach Davies, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 4.45 ERA. Ian Kennedy, not so good, 3 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk, and no strikeouts, leaves the game with a 3.46 ERA. The Mets defeated the Cardinals 6-5 in 10 innings as they improve to 15-6. St. Louis drops to 13-9. Roberto Gesellman with the win. Matt Bowman with the loss. Jerisus Familia with the save. Bottom of the 1st, 2-run home run, Tommy Pham, 2-0 Cardinals. Top of the 2nd, RBI triple, Jay Bruce makes it a 2-1 game. Bottom of the 4th, RBI double, Colton Wong, 3-1 Cardinals. RBI single, Luke Weaver, 4-1 Cardinals. Top of the 5th, a game-tying 3-run home run, Yoenis Cespedes makes it 4-4. Bottom of the 5th, RBI double, Paul DeHong, 5-4 Cardinals. Top of the 8th, sacrifice fly, Adrian Gonzalez makes it a 5-5 game. Top of the 10th, the go-ahead home run by Jay Bruce makes it 6-5 Mets, and that was your final. Zach Wheeler, 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 4.24 ERA. Luke Weaver, 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 4 earned runs, 6 walks, and 4 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 4.85 ERA. Interesting thing about this game, Matt Harvey came out of the bullpen for the first time in his career. He had 1 good inning and 1 bad inning. We'll see how often he makes these bullpen appearances, and that's something to monitor. The Rockies defeat the Padres 8-0 as they improve to 13-12. San Diego drops to 9-16. Kyle Freeland with the win. Eric Lauer with the loss. All Rockies in this one. Bottom of the 1st, fielder's choice, Chris Iannetta, as Nolan Arenado scores that 2nd run on the error by Jose Peralta, and that makes it 2-0 Rockies. RBI single, DJ LeMahieu in the bottom of the 2nd inning, makes it 3-0 Rockies. Grand slam, Trevor Story follows up the LeMahieu single, and that makes it 7-0 Rockies. Bottom of the 5th, RBI single, Ian Desmond, 8-0 Rockies was your final. Kyle Freeland had a great game, 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 4.33 ERA. Eric Lauer, 3 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts, leaves the game with a very ugly 18 ERA. The Marlins defeated the Dodgers 3-2 as they improved to 6-17. The Dodgers dropped to 11-11. Drew Steckenrider with the win. Pedro Baez with the loss. Brad Ziegler with the save. Bottom of the 2nd, RBI double, Austin Barnes, 1-0 Dodgers. Top of the 3rd, home run JT Realmuto. His 2nd of the year, ties it up at 1 apiece. Bottom of the 7th, bases loaded walk. Chase Utley, 2-1 Dodgers. Top of the 8th, the game-tying RBI double, Starlin Castro makes it a 2-2 game. Top of the 9th, RBI double, Cameron Maybin makes it a 3-2 game. Dylan Peters, 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 5.84 ERA. Kenta Maeda had another nice game, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 3.1 ERA. And that was a very disappointing loss for the Dodgers. The Giants defeated the Nationals 4-3 as they improved to 11-12. Washington drops to 10-14. Reyes Moronta with the win. Tanner Roark with the loss. Hunter Strickland with the save. Bottom of the 1st, well pitched. Tanner Roark scores in. Joe Panic, 1-0 Giants. Bottom of the 3rd, 2-run home run. Brandon Belt, 3-0 Giants. Top of the 4th, a 3-run home run by Michael A. Taylor makes it a 3-3 game. Bottom of the 6th, the go-ahead home run. Mac Williamson, 3-4 Giants out to your final. Mac Williamson has done a nice job since being called up to the big leagues so far this season. Ty Block, 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 4.31 ERA. Tanner Roark, 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 3.77 ERA. As I mentioned before, Rays-Orioles postponed. Makeup date May 12th. Tigers-Pirates postponed, as those two teams will be playing a doubleheader this afternoon. Your slate for today, Mariners at the White Sox, as the Mariners looking to win their second straight game. Felix Hernandez against James Shields. Angels-Astros. The Astros trying to get their first win against the Angels this season. Nick Tropiano against Justin Verlander. You have Padres-Rockies. Tyson Ross, who's been good for the Padres so far this season, against John Gray, who has not pitched up to expectations so far this season with the Rockies. You have the Nationals and the Giants. Max Scherzer against Jeff Samardzija. The Samardzija carry over his first promising start and pitch well against the Nats. The Nats are desperate here. Max Scherzer's on the bump, and they need to get this game. Game 1 of the doubleheader between the Tigers and the Pirates. Jordan Zimmerman against Jameson Taillon. A good opportunity for Taillon to bounce back from his rough outing against the Phillies from last week. Twins-Yankees, Lance Lynn against Sonny Gray. A good opportunity for Sonny Gray to bounce back, as Austin Romine will be catching tonight, as Gary Sanchez should be the DH. They'll put Giancarlo Stanton in left, Hicks in center, Judge in right, so I bet Brett Gardner gets the day off today, and that's what the Yankees should do. Sonny Gray usually pitches well with Romine behind the plate rather than Gary Sanchez, not only because of Sanchez's troubles with pitches and passed balls, but Romine's just a better match with Sonny Gray, as we saw in the playoffs last year, as he called the game really well and Sonny Gray pitched that Game 3, or was it Game 4, at Yankees-Astros last year. So Romine should be catching Sonny Gray today, so that's something to keep an eye on. Braves-Reds, you have Matt Whistler against Brandon Finnegan, as that it will be Ronald Acuña's first Major League game. Cubs-Indians, John Lester against Trevor Bauer. This is an ESPN game, so I have to pick it. Lester's pitched really well his last couple starts after having the bad opening day start in Miami. Trevor Bauer's been solid for Cleveland this year. Give me 3-2 Indians in a well-pitched game by Lester and Bauer. But the difference in this game will be the Indians' bullpen, as Andrew Miller and Cody Allen will get the job done against the Cubs lineup. So give me the Indians there to improve to 13-9. Rays-Orioles tonight, you have Jacob Faria against Alex Cobb. So Alex Cobb against his former team's a subplot of that game. Diamondbacks, Phillies. The Phillies looking to bounce back from the rough loss last night. Zach Greinke against Jake Arrieta. Arrieta's pitched really well so far this season. Zach Greinke hasn't been that great. This is a good opportunity for him against the Phils, although the Phils lineup is rolling right now. So that's a tough ask for Greinke. Red Sox, Blue Jays, we'll see if the Blue Jays hand the Red Sox their 4th loss in a row. You have Aaron Sanchez against Eduardo Rodriguez in that pitching matchup. Marlins, Dodgers. You have Trevor Richards against Clayton Kershaw. Perfect opportunity for Kershaw to pitch like himself against a subpar team in the Marlins. Game 2 of the doubleheader between the Tigers and the Pirates, you have Matthew Boyd against Chad Cole. Athletics, Rangers, the A's going for the sweep. Kendall Graveman against Doug Fister. Graveman's been perhaps the worst starting pitcher in baseball this season. And the A's rotation's actually been pretty good outside of Graveman. So, should be interesting. This is a good opportunity for the Rangers offense to get going after struggling a little bit in this series. Brewers, Royals, you have Julius Chassin against Jason Hamill as the Brewers go for 8 in a row. And last but not least, you have the Mets at the Cardinals, Stephen Matz against Michael Wacha. As that, I think, has high score in game written all over it with those two starting pitchers. Although they're promising young pitchers, but none of them have pitched that well so far this season. All right. I mentioned Ronald Acuna. He will be getting called up today, as the Braves have lost 2 in a row, believe it or not, and they're off to a solid start, as Acuna is going to come up. If he struggles, he's going to feel the pressure. If he comes up and hits right away, he is probably going to become the front runner for National League Rookie of the Year, as many people, including myself, have pegged before the season. So that should be a fun watch. NFL Mock Draft, my 13th edition of it. Tomorrow's podcast, I'll do my last version of it. And it's going to be very interesting, as I don't think the Browns really know what they're doing yet. I think they're still deciding, because the Browns usually tend to leak things. John Dorsey's one of the better GMs from his past history with the Chiefs, and he's doing a good job keeping this a darn secret, although there's so much speculation. 1. Cleveland Browns. Sam Darnold, quarterback, USC. There was a recent report that it's down to Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield for that top spot, but I'm not fully buying that, and I'm keeping Darnold in the spot for now. Darnold has the highest floor of all the quarterbacks in this draft, and he has the athleticism, the leadership, good throwing arm, and clutch play, as he's shown at the collegiate level. 2. New York Giants, Saquon Barkley, running back, Penn State. What Dave Gettleman will do with the 2nd overall pick is the biggest question of this entire draft. This pick feels inevitable, and the Giants love Barkley, and the offensive line should be improved, as I believe they'll use their 2nd and 3rd round picks, or even 4th round if some guys drop to them, to use those picks to improve their offensive line, as I believe there will be some good guys that will be still left for them to pick. And Barkley in that offense should make them better. 3. New York Jets from the Indianapolis Colts, Baker Mayfield, quarterback, Oklahoma. There's a lot of speculation that the Jets will take Mayfield here unless Darnold is still on the board, although there are some rumors that the Jets can snag Josh Rosen here. Mayfield has a ton of potential with his gunslinger mentality, although due to his height and off-court antics as compared to Johnny Manziel. 4. Cleveland Browns from the Houston Texans. Bradley Chubb, defensive end, North Carolina State. There's a lot of speculation that Chubb will be the pick here at 4 unless the Browns decide to trade down. Myles Garrett and Chubb would make a good duo, as the Browns look to complete the rebuild of their defense. 5. Denver Broncos, Josh Rosen, quarterback, UCLA. There are some reports out there that John Elway wants to trade down, but the Broncos have a need at quarterback, and Rosen would be a fine choice here. His stock was dropping due to his concussion issues and Jim Mora throwing him under the bus a little bit. Rosen is thought out by some to be the safest bet in the draft in terms of quarterbacks due to his accuracy and redefined throwing mechanics. 6. Indianapolis Colts from the New York Jets, Quentin Nelson, guard, Notre Dame. The most important thing for the Colts going forward is to keep Andrew Luck healthy. A good start would be picking Nelson here at 6. Nelson is the best offensive lineman in this draft. It would be shocking to see him drop past the 8 spot. Number 7, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Derwin James, strong safety, Florida State. Many people have James linked to the Bucs for right now, and I think that this pick might be inevitable as well unless somebody trades up for James in front of Tampa Bay. James, you can make a case, as the best defensive playmaker in the draft, and James is capable of producing against the run in both man and zone coverage. 8, Chicago Bears, Roquan Smith, linebacker, Georgia. This would be a good pick for the Bears, who need playmakers on defense. Smith brings speed and athleticism to the field, and that's good for this young Bears defense. 9, San Francisco 49ers, Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, Virginia Tech. With Reuben Foster's future with the team suddenly in doubt after his arrest, the Niners almost have to take a linebacker here if either Roquan Smith or Edmonds is available. The thing about Edmonds is that he's going to be 20 years old when the season starts, and he's so good, he'll give the Niners defense a different look. 10, Oakland Raiders, Denzel Ward, cornerback, Ohio State. The Raiders have a couple of options here, and it's obvious that they're going to go defense. Could it be Ward, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Vita Vea, Will Smith, or Edmonds drop to the Raiders? That's remained to be seen. Ward isn't the biggest corner in the draft, but he can cover skills that are hard to come by in the league. 11, Miami Dolphins, Minkah Fitzpatrick, safety, Alabama. Fitzpatrick dropping this far would be somewhat surprising as the Dolphins snag a steal to improve their secondary. Fitzpatrick's versatility makes him special, and he is perhaps the best defensive player in this draft. 12, Buffalo Bills, from the Cincinnati Bengals, Josh Allen, quarterback, Wyoming. The Bills will be doing backflips if Allen falls here to them at 12. I believe that the Bills trading up is a distinct possibility. Allen has the most upside among the quarterbacks in this draft, and due to his athleticism and arm strength and size, he draws comparisons to Carson Wentz. 13, Washington Redskins, Vita Vea, defensive end, Washington. Vea is a massive presence in the middle of a defensive line and will go a long way towards fixing any deficiencies while also providing enough quickness to penetrate into the backfield on some third downs. He has quick feet and good movement for a big defensive lineman. 14, Green Bay Packers, Harold Landry, defensive end, outside linebacker, Boston College. Landry is all over the map in terms of where people have him mocked in these mock drafts. Landry didn't have a great final season in college, but has the tools to be a solid pro. Arizona Cardinals, Lamar Jackson, quarterback, Louisville. The Cardinals are another trade-up candidate. I feel like Jackson and the Cardinals is a match made in heaven. Him and David Johnson together long-term would be a nice foundation for the Cardinals. 16, Baltimore Ravens, Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. After pegging wide receivers in this spot for a ton of my mock drafts, I go with McGlinchey here for the Ravens to improve their offensive line. He isn't that strong, but he's athletic and brings stability and would play alongside former college teammate Rodney Stanley. 17, Los Angeles Chargers, Deron Payne, defensive tackle, Alabama. The Chargers pose what is arguably the best edge rushing duo in the league with Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. Adding someone like Payne would only make that defensive line better. 18, Seattle Seahawks, Marcus Davenport, defensive end, UTSA. The Seahawks lost so many of their key pieces of their defensive line lately, which makes Davenport a nice selection here. He is athletic, moves very well, and has physicality, which Pete Carroll would like. 19, Dallas Cowboys, DJ Moore, wide receiver, Maryland. Moore is a fast riser on many people's draft boards, and the Cowboys snag him to help Dak Prescott and replace Dez Bryant. There are people that think Moore could end up being the best receiver in this draft class. 20, Detroit Lions, Taven Bryan, defensive end, Florida. The Lions need to improve their pass rush, and taking Bryant to pair with Ziggy Ansah is a nice start. Bryant has drawn comparisons to J.J. Watt in the past and would be a good fit in Matt Patricia's defense. 21, Cincinnati Bengals from the Buffalo Bills, James Daniels, center, Iowa. Daniels is trending up many people's mock boards, and a ton of people have Daniels linked to Cincinnati. He's a good athlete and a good technician for a center. 22, Buffalo Bills from the Kansas City Chiefs, Rashaan Evans, linebacker, Alabama. Evans brings an athletic presence who can fill multiple roles. He was more of an edge defender earlier in his college career. However, he also showed well in more of a traditional role over the last 2 years at Alabama. And there's a chance this pick is traded in whatever deal the Bills, in theory, would make the move up for a quarterback. 23, New England Patriots from the Los Angeles Rams, Colton Miller, offensive tackle, UCLA. Miller put together a great final season at the collegiate level, and he would fit right away, replacing Nate Solder on the Pats O-line. Miller is big and strong and would help protect Tom Brady during his twilight years. 24, Carolina Panthers, Will Hernandez, guard UTEP. No-brainer pick here as the Panthers find the replacement for Andrew Norwell. Hernandez is big and powerful, and he provides mobility. 25, Tennessee Titans, Leighton Vander Esch, linebacker, Boise State. Vander Esch is rising up many people's mock drafts of late to the point where this would be a steal for the Titans. They have a need at linebacker with Avery Williamson departing in free agency, and Vander Esch would be a nice replacement who brings great athleticism, speed, and has incredible size and length. 26, Atlanta Falcons, Maurice Hurst, defensive tackle, Michigan. Hurst had a heart condition at the combine, and that might drop him out of the first round. Hurst doesn't have the size that teams are generally looking for an interior defensive lineman, but his quickness more than makes up for that deficiency. It makes him, in particular, a great threat at rushing the passer on third downs. 27, New Orleans Saints, Dallas Goedert, tight end, South Dakota State. Goedert's draft stock is trending down due to his injury concerns. Goedert is thought out by some to be the best tight end in this draft class and would be a nice weapon for Drew Brees in that offense. 28, Pittsburgh Steelers, Josh Jackson, cornerback, Iowa. With Rashaan Evans and Leighton Vander Esch off the board, the Steelers take Jackson here, who is someone that might go in the top 15 or completely fall out of the first round. He led the FBS in interceptions last season, has the size and speed that coaches would like. 29, Jacksonville Jaguars, Calvin Ridley, wide receiver, Alabama. Ridley dropping this far would be a massive steal for the Jaguars as they find someone to replace Allen Robinson. Ridley brings a downfield speedy option on the outside that would bring a different look to the Jags offense. 30, Minnesota Vikings, Isaiah Wynn, guard, offensive tackle, Georgia. The Vikings bolstered their offensive line by selecting Wynn, who could be a possible steal. He can play tackle if needed, but will succeed as a guard instantly and plays with outstanding leverage and has the athleticism to mirror pass rushers. 31, New England Patriots, Mike Hughes, cornerback, UCF. The Pats decide here whether to take a quarterback to replace Tom Brady long-term, a tight end to eventually replace Rob Gronkowski, or to get young defensively. They go with defense and take Hughes here to replace Malcolm Butler in the secondary. 32, Philadelphia Eagles, Jair Alexander, cornerback, Louisville. Alexander is a fast riser on many people's mock boards, and the Eagles can use another corner after losing Patrick Robinson in free agency. He is great in man-to-man coverage and could be drafted higher than this. That's my mock draft, and now I'm going to give out to you my top 100 big board. There's a lot of different rankings. These are just my personal rankings that I made for all the players in this draft. All right, number 1. This is obvious. Saquon Barkley, running back, Penn State. I think it's inevitable that the Giants will pick him at 2, although there's that lingering possibility that if the Browns don't take Darnold, that the Giants might pick Darnold or a trade down. So Barkley would be a great fit on the Giants. He'd fit on the Bucs. He'd fit on a bunch of different teams, even the Browns. If the Browns decided to pick him first overall, if he slides to 4, maybe Denver takes him at 5. Maybe Indy takes him at 6 to help out Andrew Luck a little bit. Barkley's the best player in this draft, and whoever takes Barkley will be a win. Although if the Giants take him, there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, well, they should have taken a quarterback to replace Eli long term. They could do that in a later round in this draft, or if Mason Rudolph falls to the second round, the Giants can take him. And I like Rudolph. I'm a fan of Rudolph. I'll get to him later on in these rankings. Number 2, Bradley Chubb, defensive end, outside linebacker, North Carolina State. Chubb's the best defensive player in this draft, in my opinion. I think he would be a nice fit on a bunch of teams. The rumor on the street right now is that he'll probably go to the Browns at 4. The Giants at 3 are a possibility. The Giants at 2. The Giants at 2 are a distinct possibility because Dave Gettleman's drafted pass rushers high in the past with the Panthers. And he would be a nice replacement for Jason Pierre-Paul. Maybe Denver at 5, Indy at 6. So Chubb's someone else to watch. I'd be surprised if he slid past 6. And gosh, if Tampa Bay or Chicago took him at 7 or 8, that would be a monster steal for one of those teams, especially the Bears, who have the bigger need at the position. 3, Quentin Nelson, guard, Notre Dame. Nelson, like Barkley and Chubb, would fit on a bunch of teams. The Browns are a possibility at 4. The Giants, if they trade down, are a possibility. I don't see the Giants taking them at 2. But if they traded down with, say, the Broncos or somebody else, maybe Nelson would be in play for them. Denver at 5, Indy at 6. Indy's the most logical one there because Andrew Luck needs to stay healthy, and that's just a logic fit. If he drops to 7, I can see the Bucs taking him, and even the Bears at 8, I could see the Bears taking Nelson too. I'd be shocked if he slid past 8. 4, Sam Darnold, quarterback USC. I think he's going to the Browns at first. Giants at 2 are in play, and obviously the Jets at 3. If Barkley goes 1 and Darnold lasts the 4, and let's say in this scenario, Barkley goes 1, Chubb goes 2, Mayfield goes 3, there's a chance Darnold drops the 4 to the Browns, and the Browns could take him at 4, but I don't see that. I think it's inevitable that Darnold goes 1, and I think all this Allen and Mayfield rumor chat is just talk and speculation, as I believe Darnold goes 1 and Barkley goes 2, inevitably. And if Darnold were to fall to 5, I think John Elway would gladly take Darnold. And obviously there would be teams trying to trade up for him, like the Bills or the Cardinals, or even Denver from 5 to 2. So to keep an eye on Darnold, although I do think number 1 to the Browns is pretty much inevitable. 5, Josh Rosen, quarterback UCLA. I like Rosen. He has some concussion problems, as I mentioned. Jim Mora threw him under the bus. He'd be a nice fit on a lot of these quarterback-needy teams. The Jets and the Giants make sense for him. I don't see him going to the Browns. The Bills make a lot of sense. The Cardinals make sense. So it should be an interesting watch for Josh Rosen. And the dark horse here is the Patriots, and I've heard them linked to Rosen. So that should be interesting. 6, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Alabama. I think he's the best defensive back in this draft. Nick Saban always produces good defensive backs. I think he can be awesome. Like, he can be a Landon Collins type of player for whoever. I can see him going as high as the Browns at 4. The Broncos at 5 would be interesting. The Colts at 6. Tampa, Bears, Niners, Raiders, Dolphins. Whoever trades down, and Fitzpatrick can be waiting for them at the trade down team. So that's an interesting player. Denzel Ward at 7, the corner from Ohio State. He's the best corner in this draft, in my opinion. I can see him going between 6 and 14. But I think if he drops beyond the top 10 to, say, like the Dolphins or the Packers or the Redskins or the team that gets to that 12 spot, courtesy of the Bills, would be getting a steal with Ward. 8, Derwin James, the safety from Florida State. I think he's the second best safety in this draft and the third best defensive back. I like James's game. He can do a lot. He would be a nice fit on a team like Tampa Bay, and that's why I've been hearing him linked to Tampa Bay. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears took him at 8, the Raiders at 10, Dolphins, whoever ends up with the 12th pick, if it's not the Bills, Redskins, and Packers. If he drops past the Packers at 14, I'd be shocked. Number 9, Josh Allen, quarterback Wyoming. If nobody trades up, I think Allen could fall back pretty far as 15 to the Cardinals even. But I think it's inevitable that he's going to be picked in the top 10 and somebody's going to trade up for him. 10, Roquan Smith, linebacker, Georgia. Smith I can see being picked between 6 and 10. If he drops out of the top 10, somebody would be getting a steal. He's the second best linebacker in this draft to Bradley Chubb, because Chubb's considered a linebacker too. And I'm a big fan of Smith's game, and he'd be a great fit on a team like the Bears or the Niners or the Raiders. Number 11, Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech, the other linebacker. He's super young. He's going to be drafted pretty high. I can see him going between 8 and 14. I don't see him getting picked by the Colts at 6. I won't be shocked if Smith does, because I just think Smith's a better prospect than Edmonds, as my rankings show, as I have Smith at 10 and Edmonds at 11. Edmonds, like Smith, would be a great fit on a team like the Bears, Raiders, or Niners. He'd fit on the Dolphins. Redskins be a nice fit. Packers, whoever's in that 12 spot, if it's not the Bills, would be a good spot for Edmonds. But if he falls out of the top 14, it'd be a steal for whoever. 12, Calvin Ridley, wide receiver, Alabama. His stock's trending down as other receivers tend to passing him on people's mock boards. I think if he's not picked in the top 20, somebody's getting a steal with Ridley. 13, Baker Mayfield, quarterback, Oklahoma. There's talk that the Browns might pick Mayfield at 1. I think Mayfield's somebody that's likely to go in the top 5, and somebody's going to have to trade up for him. He's been linked to the Jets. He's been linked to the Broncos. The only team I can't see him going to that's in the market for a quarterback is the Giants. The only quarterback I could see the Giants taking is Darnold if Darnold falls to them, and I'm hearing that Darnold's the only quarterback that they like. 14, Mitch McGlinchey, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. 14, Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. I like McGlinchey. I think he's the best tackle in this draft. I think he can be drafted between 10 and 20. I feel like that's his range. The Ravens at 16 is a nice fit. Chargers at 17. If it's like a trade partner with the Raiders potentially. I don't see the Raiders taking an offensive lineman, but I could see somebody trading up to get McGlinchey. If the Bills stay at 12, I could see them picking McGlinchey. I could see the Dolphins taking McGlinchey. Redskins, maybe. Packers I could definitely see. Cardinals if they decide not to take a quarterback. I already mentioned the Ravens and the Chargers. I don't see Dallas taking McGlinchey. I can see the Seahawks taking McGlinchey. That would be a nice fit. And Detroit at 20 would obviously be a good fit. And if he goes past 20, it's a steal. 15, Vita Vea, defensive tackle, Washington. Vea's trending up as he's rumored to possibly go at 10 to the Raiders. Dolphins would be a good fit. Whoever ends up with that 12th pick, if it's not the Bills, would be a solid pick for whoever that team is. The Redskins at 13 is a very distinct possibility. Packers at 14 I can see. Cardinals at 15 if they don't take a quarterback. I don't see the Ravens going defense. They would be a nice fit on the Chargers and the Seahawks as they're looking for defensive linemen. I can see the Cowboys taking him if they decide not to take a receiver. And if he falls out of the top 20, somebody's getting a steal. 16, Daron Payne, defensive tackle, Alabama. The most popular selection for Payne in terms of teams is either 20 to the Lions or 17 to the Chargers. Those two make a lot of sense. Patriots at 23 makes sense, assuming they stay there. A lot of other teams, Cowboys at 19 makes sense. Bengals at 21. If the Bills stay at 22, that makes sense. But I don't see Payne falling out of the first round. I think if he goes past the Bills at 22, somebody's getting a steal. 17, Harold Landry, defensive end, outside linebacker, Boston College. Landry's interesting. He's being pegged all over the place. I can see him going as high as 10 and as low as 28 to the Steelers. But if he falls out of the first round, it's a massive steal for somebody. 18, Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker from Boise. He's a player that's trending up. He's arguably the third best inside linebacker in this draft behind Edmonds and Smith. I can see him being drafted as high as 13th to the Redskins. And I can see him being drafted as low as 28 to the Steelers. If he's gone, if he's still on the board beyond 28 to the Steelers, somebody's getting a steal. 19, Isaiah Wynn, the guard from Georgia. I'm higher on Wynn than most. He's one of the more underrated guards in this draft. He is pegged to go somewhere between 17 and 32. If he falls out of the first round, somebody's getting a steal. 20, Josh Jackson, cornerback, Iowa. Jackson's somebody I can see going in the top 15 or falling completely out of the first round, as I mentioned while doing my mock draft. A lot of these teams with secondary help can use Jackson. So it should be interesting to see where he goes. 21, Colton Miller, offensive tackle, UCLA. I see him getting pegged somewhere between 17 and 32, and whoever passes on him in the first round potentially is getting a steal in the second round with him. 22, Will Hernandez, the guard from UTEP. I see him being pegged between 18 and 32. Won't be all that shocked if he falls out of the first round. I'm a big Hernandez fan. Maybe the Giants take him with their second round pick. That would be a nice addition to Big Blue, assuming that they take Barkley in the first round. Although the perfect fit for Hernandez is the Carolina Panthers. 23, DJ Moore, the wideout from Maryland. His stock is trending up. I think it's almost a lock that he goes in the first round. I can see him being drafted between 16 and 31, because I wouldn't rule out the possibility of the Patriots drafting a receiver after the trading away of Brandon Cooks. He'd be a nice fit there. He obviously would fit well in Dallas, Baltimore. I could see him going to Jacksonville. Maybe the Titans take him. I could see a surprise team taking Moore. 24, Marcus Davenport, the defensive end from UTSA. He's pegged to go all over the place. I've seen him being pegged as high as 10th to the Raiders. I've seen him linked to the Dolphins, the Bills, if they stay at 12 or even 22. Seattle or Detroit would be tremendous fits for Davenport. New England would obviously be a nice fit. If he falls out of the first round, somebody's getting a steal. 25, Taven Bryan, defensive tackle, Florida. He seemed to be a poor man's J.J. Watt. The Falcons and the Lions stand out as fits. I think Seattle at 18 would be a nice fit, or even 17 at the Chargers. So anywhere between 17 and 32 would be that range for Bryan. 26, Mike Gesicki, the tight end from Penn State. I think Gesicki's the best tight end in this draft. 27 to the Saints, 28 to the Steelers, or 29 to the Jaguars. One of those three teams would be in play for him. If he falls into the second round, somebody's getting a steal. 27, Cortland Sutton, the wideout from SMU. I'm a fan of Sutton. He put back-to-back 1,000 seasons together in college. I think he's going to be somebody's pretty good number 2 receiver. I can see him going to the Jaguars at 29. I can see him going into the second round. The Cowboys at 19. I can see him going as high as 16th to the Ravens. And I can also see him falling out of the first round. 28, Connor Williams, the offensive lineman from Texas. He's versatile. I can see him going as high as 17 to the Chargers or even 16 to the Ravens. If he goes to the second round, somebody's getting a steal. 29, Billy Price, the offensive lineman from Ohio State. Patriots would be a solid pick for him. The Bengals, who have a need at the center position, which Price can play. I can see him even going to Seattle or the Chargers or the Ravens even in that range, although I think 16, 17, 18 is a little bit of a reach. I think the Vikings at 30 would be a nice fit for Billy Price. 30, Rashaan Evans, the linebacker from Alabama. He'd be a solid fit on many teams. I can see him going as high as 20 to the Lions. I can see him going to the Patriots at 23, assuming they stay there. I could see him fitting really nicely in Mike Vrabel's defense with Tennessee. Pittsburgh's an obvious choice for Rashaan Evans because they won't have Ryan Shazier next season. And if he falls out of the first round, someone's getting a steal. Jair Alexander at 31, the corner from Louisville. I like Alexander. I think he's going to be a solid player in the league. I could see him going as high as 28 to the Steelers. I saw somebody peg him 15th to the Cardinals. I think that's a little bit of a reach. But 28, if Pittsburgh misses out on a linebacker, I could see Alexander going there. I wouldn't even rule out Jacksonville or Minnesota at 29 or 30 for him, or even a little bit higher than Steelers, 26, 27 for the Saints and the Falcons. Patriots, obviously, at 31 would be a solid fit for Alexander. Eagles are an obvious fit because they lost a corner in free agency. 32, Mason Rudolph, the quarterback from Oklahoma State. I think Rudolph falls out. I can totally see the Giants picking him in the second round if he's still on the board. And I could see the Broncos possibly picking him in the second round if he's still left, or a team that is trying to look for their long-term future quarterback like the Giants, New England maybe. I could see them either reaching for him at 31 or trading up into the second round for him, or even trading back with that 31st pick to get Rudolph in the second round. Maybe Pittsburgh. A friend of mine thinks that Pittsburgh's taking him at 28, and I called him crazy for it. Maybe the Saints at 27, so Rudolph's an interesting prospect. Maybe Ravens or Chargers take a chance on him in the second round. 33, Malik Jefferson, a linebacker from Texas. Jefferson's a first-round talent that I don't think is getting picked in the first round. Somebody is going to get a good player in the second round with Jefferson. 34, Arden Key, the edge rusher from LSU. I think he's really, really good. Somebody's going to get a steal with him. He's a first-round talent that I think is going to drop. I think the Saints would be a great fit for Key. The Giants would be a nice landing spot. The Browns, Indianapolis, the Jets, the Bears if they miss out on a linebacker. So keep an eye on Key. 35, Sonny Michel, the running back from Georgia. I'm higher on Michel than most. I think he's a second-round talent that could very well play like he's a first-round talent. I think somebody's going to snag a steal with Michel. Let's say the Giants take Darnold with the second pick or trade down, and Michel's sitting there waiting for them in the third round even. I can see Big Blue picking him up. I can see another team like the Browns taking him. I could see Indianapolis taking him. I think Michel's going to be a good player in the league. 36, Carlton Davis, the corner from Auburn. I'm a big fan of Davis. He did a great job in SEC play covering some of the better wideouts like Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley in that conference. I think Davis is going to be a steal in the second round or the third round, wherever he's selected. I can see somebody like the Bears taking him, or the Cowboys, or the Texans, or the Chiefs would be a nice fit for Davis. There's a lot of teams I can see fit with him. 37, James Daniels, the offensive lineman for Iowa. He's being linked to the Cincinnati Bengals right now. If the Bengals pass on him and decide to take another lineman or a defensive player, I could see him being somebody's steal. Maybe the Giants, maybe Houston, maybe the Browns, Bears. There's a lot of teams that could use somebody like James Daniels. 38, Frank Rangro, the center from Arkansas. He's getting some buzz about possibly being picked by the Bengals at 21 as well. He's somebody that I think could be a steal in the third round, but is a second-round talent. 39, Nick Chubb, running back Georgia. I'm higher on Chubb than most. Chubb is a Brandon Jacobs type that isn't fast, but can just pound the football. I'm a big fan of Chubb. He'd be a nice fit on any team in this league. 40, Mike Hughes, the corner from UCF. I'm not as high as Hughes. I'm not as high on Hughes as other evaluators are, and I think that there's a chance he goes super high in the first round and somebody like Green Bay or Washington with the 13th or 14th pick take a reach with him. I think Pittsburgh can take him at 28. I think Atlanta can take him at 26. New England or Philly at 31 or 32. Vikings at 30. Jacksonville at 29. But to me, he's somebody that somebody can take as a steal in the second round. 41, Christian Kirk, the wide receiver from Texas A&M. I like Kirk. I'm a fan of his game. He's fast. I think there's a chance he goes in the first round, maybe to Jacksonville at 29 or to New Orleans at 27, Atlanta at 26. But I think he's going to settle in the second round. 42, Lamar Jackson, the quarterback from Louisville. I'm not as high on Jackson as I was maybe 2 years ago when he won the Heisman. He's somebody that, to me, is similar to Tyrod Taylor. Maybe could be a better version of him. He needs to improve a little bit with his passing game, I think. But somebody's going to take a reach with him in the first round, whether it's Arizona or Buffalo or even Miami. Don't rule that out. Or New England. 43, Ronnie Harrison, the defensive back from Alabama. I'm a big fan of Harrison. He's a great player. He was overshadowed by his teammate, Minkah Fitzpatrick. somebody's going to get a steal in one of the later rounds with Harrison. 44, Sam Hubbard, defensive end, Ohio State. There's some buzz about Hubbard going in the first round, but to me, he's a second-round player. I'm a big fan of Hubbard's game. He'd be a nice fit on a team like the Giants, like the Browns, like the Colts, the Bears, the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Raiders. I could see a bunch of teams taking him in the second round, although somebody like Tennessee in the first round or Cincinnati taking him is not inconceivable. 45, Dorian O'Daniel, the linebacker from Clemson. I'm a big fan of O'Daniel. He's played in so many big games before. I think somebody's going to snag a steal with O'Daniel. 46, Maurice Hurst, the defensive tackle from Michigan. He'd be higher on this list if he didn't have the poor heart condition. I won't be surprised if someone takes him in the first round. He'd be a nice fit on a team like the Falcons or the Lions or the Patriots or the Titans. And I won't be surprised if he falls out of the first round. So keep an eye on Hurst. 47, James Washington, the wide receiver from Oklahoma State. Somebody's going to get a steal with Washington. He's been one of the more underrated wide receivers in college football these last couple seasons. 48, Jamarco Jones, the tackle from Ohio State. I think he's going to be a good player in the league. Somebody's going to get a steal with him. 49, Orlando Brown, the tackle from Oklahoma. He's somebody that I can see falling to the third or fourth round. He is first-round talent. I think somebody's going to get a steal at him. 50, Hayden Hurst, the tight end from South Carolina. I'm higher on Hurst than most. I think he can go in the first round. I could see Pittsburgh, New Orleans, or Jacksonville taking him. And I could see somebody training back to get him in the second round. So he's somebody to watch. 51, Ronald Jones, the running back from USC. I'm higher on Jones than most. He was a big security blanket for Sam Darnold at USC. Imagine if the Browns decide to take Jones in the third round and if they take Darnold. That would be a fun storyline to watch. 52, Deontay Burnett, wide receiver USC. Another Trojan product. Another product of Sam Darnold, although I like Burnett. I think he's going to be a steal where somebody picks him, as he's going to pan out to be somebody's good number 3 receiver or even a number 2 guy. 53, Isaiah Oliver, corner, Colorado. He has first-round talent that I think is going to fall into the second or even the third round. He'd be a nice fit on a team like the Rams or the Chiefs or the Patriots. 54, Dante Jackson, the corner from LSU. I think Jackson is a second, third-round talent guy that some people, I think, are undervaluing. 55, Lorenzo Carter, the edge rusher from Georgia. I think Carter's one of the more underrated players in this draft, and whoever picks him in the second or third round might be getting a steal. 56, Darius Geis, running back, LSU. I am not high on Geis, unlike some other people. People think that Geis can go as high as 20 to the Lions, which I think is ridiculous. The Lions have other needs than running back, and there's people pegging him to go 32 to the Eagles, which I think the Eagles can trade back from the 32 spot and get him, as somebody can trade up and get Mason Rudolph at 32, or get another good player, another good lineman at 32. I don't hate Geis, but I just think that there are better running backs than Geis, and I think he's being a little overrated by the media from being Leonard Fournette's backup all these years with the Tigers. 57, Braden Smith, the guard of Auburn. I like Smith. I think he's going to be a solid pro in the league. 58, Jerome Baker, the linebacker from Ohio State. I'm a big fan of Baker. Ohio State always produces good talent, although there's been a couple that haven't panned out over the last couple years, such as Eli Apple, Darren Lee, Jerrion Conley. But I like Baker, and I think he's going to be a day 2 steal for somebody. 59, Kerryon Johnson, the running back from Auburn. I like Johnson. I think he's going to be a steal too. At 60, I have Agbonia or Kornoko, the defensive end from Oklahoma. Oklahoma defensive players really don't pan out that much. Well, a lot of Big 12 defensive players really don't pan out that much. Although I like Okornoko, and I think he can be a possible steal for somebody. 61, Dallas Goedert, tight end, South Dakota State. I think he's one of the more overrated prospects in this draft. He has some injury history He played in the FCS, which doesn't really help him all that much. But if he's on the right team, he can look pretty darn good. So that's why the Saints stick out to me as a possible fit, as well as the Steelers. 32, Harrison Phillips, the defensive tackle from Stanford. I'm high on Phillips more than most. I think he's going to be a solid pro someday. 63, Ross Pierschbacher, the offensive lineman from Alabama. Alabama tends to produce good players all over the field. I'm always high on Alabama guys. And Nick Saban always does a good job developing these players, and I think somebody's going to snag a steal with him in a later round. 64, Tyrell Crosby, the tackle from Oregon. I like Crosby. I think he's going to be one of the more underrated tackles getting drafted, so somebody could end up with a steal there. 65, Chibuka Okorafor, the tackle from Western Michigan. I think that somebody could get a steal with Okorafor, as he was projected to be a first-round pick not that long ago. 66, Austin Corbett, the offensive lineman from Nevada. I'm not as high as Corbett. I'm not as high on Corbett as most. I do think he can be a solid pro in the league, but I just think there are better linemen than Corbett. 67, Jesse Bates III, the safety from Wake Forest. I'm not as high on Bates as I am with other defensive backs in this draft, but I could be wrong. 68, Darius Leonard, the linebacker from South Carolina State. He's another player that I'm not as high on as others. 69, Equanimeous St. Brown, the wide receiver from Notre Dame. I think somebody's getting a steal with him in the second or third round. I think Notre Dame receivers always tend to pan out pretty well, and I could see him being a nice fit on a team like the Jets or the Colts or the Jaguars, the Titans maybe, Houston. 70, Anthony Averett, the cornerback from Alabama. I like Averett. I think he's one of the more underrated corners in the league. Or I think he's one of the more underrated corners in the draft. And I won't be surprised if he turns into a steal for somebody. 71, DJ Chark, wide receiver, LSU. I'm not as high as others on Chark, but I won't be that shocked if he turns into a solid pro someday. 72, Uchenna Nwosu, the linebacker from USC. I'm not as high on Nwosu as others, but I think he can be a solid pro in the league. 73, Kamoko Toure, the linebacker from Rutgers. I'm not really high on Toure either, as Rutgers really hasn't had players that have panned out of late, but I could be wrong. 74, Rasheem Green. The edge rusher from USC. I like Green, and I think he could be a solid player for somebody. 75, Duke Dawson, the corner from Florida. I like Dawson. Florida tends to produce good players. 76, Anthony Miller, the wideout from Memphis. I think he can be a day 2 or day 3 steal for somebody. 77, Michael Gallup, wide receiver, Colorado State. Like Miller, I think Gallup could be a steal for somebody. 78, Rashad Penny, running back, San Diego State. Penny was very underrated last year in college, and I think he could be a steal for somebody on this year's draft. 79, Royce Freeman, running back, Oregon. I think Freeman's going to be a steal for whoever picks him as well. 80, Jerome Christian, offensive tackle, Louisville. I like Christian. I think he's going to be a fine player in the league. 81, Brian O'Neill, offensive tackle, Pittsburgh. He's somebody I'm not that high on, unlike others, but I won't be shocked if he turns into a solid pro. 82, Deshaun Hand, defensive tackle, Alabama. I'm high on Hand, just like I am with most Alabama and Ohio State players. Hand's another player that Nick Saban has developed pretty well. 83, Jeff Holland, defensive end, Auburn. I think Holland is going to be a day 3 steal by somebody. 84, Will Richardson, the tackle from NC State. I'm not that high on Richardson, unlike some other people. 85, Josie Lowell, the linebacker from Iowa. Lowell's somebody I'm not as high on, unlike others. 86, Deion Kane, the wideout from Clemson. I think Kane's going to be a day 3 steal for somebody. Won't be shocked if he's picked on day 2. 87, Mark Andrews, tight end, Oklahoma. Andrews is going to be a day 2 or day 3 steal for somebody, as he's going to prove that he's not a product of Baker Mayfield. 88, Shaq Griffin, linebacker, UCF. Somebody's going to pick up a solid player with Griffin, as I think he's a round 2, 3 talent that might be picked in the round 4. 89, Fred Warner, linebacker, BYU. I'm not high on Warner, unlike others. 90, Kyle Lawetta, quarterback, Richmond. I'm not high on Lawetta at all. I think he's going to be a round 4 pick by somebody, although I won't be shocked to see him picked in round 3. As I saw somebody peg him to go in the 2nd round to New England. I think that's absurd. But he's not a round 2 player. He's more of like a round 3, round 4 type of player. 91, Andrew Brown, defensive lineman for Virginia. Brown, I think, is a little underrated. I won't be shocked to see him being picked in the 3rd or 4th round. 92, MJ Stewart, the corner from North Carolina. He's a round 3, 4 type of talent that I won't be surprised turns into a solid pro. 93, Nathan Shepard, defensive lineman, Fort Hays State. I'm not high on Shepard, unlike other draft experts, because he's from a smaller school, but I could be wrong. 94, John Kelly, running back from Tennessee. I like Kelly. I wish I had him ranked higher on this list. If you saw the last running back that was drafted by Tennessee, this guy might be the next Alvin Kamara. Maybe, maybe not. 95, Dalton Schultz, tight end, Stanford. I like Schultz. I'm high on Schultz, and he's going to be a day 3 steal by somebody. 96, Dante Pettis, wide receiver, Washington. Is he a product of Jake Browning, or is he for real? 97, Ian Thomas, tight end, Indiana. I'm not high on Thomas, unlike other people. 98, Durant Armstrong, edge rusher, Kansas. I just don't like Kansas players, really, as they really don't pan out all that much. But I won't be that shocked if Armstrong's picked in the 2nd or 3rd round, as somebody might be getting a reach with him. 99, Joseph Noteboom, the tackle from TCU. I'm not a big Noteboom fan, as there's, I think, better options for linemen. And number 11, Jannard Avery, linebacker, Memphis. Just because he's from Memphis and the American Conference really doesn't produce that many great defensive players. I'm high on Shaq Griffin, but that's really it in terms of AAC defensive players. But I don't mind Avery, and I won't be surprised if he's picked in the 4th round. That's it for today. Tomorrow I'll be back recapping all the playoff action from NBA to Stanley Cup. I'll pick the Tampa Bay Lightning against the winner of Boston-Toronto series. I'll go over all the baseball action. I'll do my last mock draft. And at the end of tomorrow's podcast, I'll reveal how every team should approach the draft, every team's needs, and a lot more. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.